This is something that came as a very unexpected surprise to me because I was not expecting this year's Summer Game Fest to be this loaded with high profile releases in relation to, I guess, this year and next year, and even beyond that. And the thing is, there were like 70, at least 70 different games at this year's Summer Game Fest. And there were so many titles that I saw that I was looking forward to seeing in the future to a point where I can hardly I can hardly contain my happiness, my amusement with all this because there were games that were talked about online on Reddit and on gaming sites that were rumored to be in development, but we didn't think there was going to be any confirmation of it this year. And some of those things were actually featured at this year's Summer Game Fest. And even though there's like 70 different games, I want to talk about the games that caught my eye because I want to take too long and spend forever talking about this. Persona 6 appearing at this year's Summer Game Fest was something that was not really expected for the most part, especially considering what just happened with Sega using DMC takedowns for leaked images of the game. Um, an official release date for Persona 6 has not been revealed as of yet, but a lot of people are implying that's going to come out next year because towards the end of the trailer, it said, have it on your wish list now. And it told you what consoles it was going to be on. I think it's going to be on everything except Switch 2, but I don't know. I've heard rumors that Persona 6 was already finished in terms of development. And I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to keep people guessing as to when the game is going to be released. And speaking of Persona, Persona 4 Revival, we got to see the trailer for that. And we do know that's coming out next year in February of 2027 for just about every console. And you also had like Resident Evil Code Veronica, which is also coming out, I think, early next year as well. That one caught me by a surprise because I've heard talks about that possibly being a thing, but I wasn't exactly sure whether or not, it was going to, happen or we're going to see a trailer like this year or anything like that. Um, a lot of people are ecstatic about that as well. Um, and I think, that's actually a good decision opposed to going to Resident Evil 5 because that one is actually considered to be controversial. And it's quite possible that, Capcom might skip that, for obvious reasons. Then you had like Final Fantasy VII Revelations. That's supposed to be coming out next year as well. And it's supposed to be the final part of the three-part Final Fantasy VII remake series, and it makes you wonder what Square Enix is going to do after that because I don't know, they milked Final Fantasy VII for as much as they can and for as much of it's worth, like for like years now, and like since 1997. And I don't know, I feel like this is probably the end of the line for them unless they resort to making spin-off games in the future. But it is what it is. I don't think we're going to see Final Fantasy 17 anytime in the near future because it's too soon. You have Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is basically a high definition remake of the original game from 1996, and it's supposed to be utilizing the Unreal Engine 5. Everything looked beautiful, the gameplay, the dialogue, um, the open world, everything looked beautiful. It's supposed to be coming out next year as well in February of 2027, and then you have Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. She's going to be appearing as a guest DLC character in Street Fighter VI, which is something that was not on my bingo card. But at the same time, Tifa Lockhart is really popular, so it doesn't surprise me that Square Enix and Capcom is doing a collabo. I'm not exactly sure whether or not it's going to lead to Cloud Strife eventually being a playable character in Street Fighter VI later on, but we'll see what happens. You got Spyro: A Realm Beyond. That's supposed to be coming out in spring of next year. It's going to be on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And the thing that's special about this game is that it's supposed to be the first brand new entry within the entire series in nearly 2 decades because a lot of people kind of tuned out of the Spyro the Dragon series like after like the late 90s. And And since then, we've gotten like mainly remakes, especially within the past like couple of years or so. We've been getting remakes of Spyro the Dragon. I honestly feel like Spyro would have been more popular than he became post '90s if gaming didn't change the way that it did with everybody turning more towards shooters and M-rated games and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like Spyro has the potential to be a huge attraction in this day and age. Um, we're supposed to be getting another Stellar Blade game, and then it's called Stellar Blade 2 because the first one came out back in 2014. We're supposed to be getting The Wolf Among Us 2, which is supposed to be coming out in 2027. We're supposed to be getting Pal World 1.0 next month in July. And that's something that kind of surprised me, considering the fact that the lawsuit between Nintendo and the Pokemon Company is still going on in a Japanese court. But yeah, we'll see how long Pal World lasts between now and the next couple of years. We're supposed to be get Attack on Titan 3, which is supposed to cover the entire anime, which started back in 2013. So for those who are anime fans, this is something that you should be looking forward to because the expected release date for this is July of 2026. So it's next month. It's going to be on every game system: PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and PC. You got games like a brand new video game, like a racing game called Clutch, and it's going to be coming out of spring of next year, and it's going to be made by the former developers of the Forza Horizon series. So I don't know. I feel like this is something that has the potential to be something big. We're supposed to be getting a new Hot Wheels game in September of this year. We're supposed to be getting a sequel or like another entry to the Monster Hunter series. We're supposed to be getting Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance, which is supposed to be coming out, in 2027. It's multi-platform. The last game came out back in 2025, and a lot of people know that the Monster Hunter series is still pretty big. And we're supposed to be getting a new Star Wars video game called Star Wars Zero Company. It's basically an XCOM style Star Wars game, and it's basically a turn-based type of thing, turn-based like strategy game. That's supposed to be coming out this summer in August. We're supposed to be getting Lords of the Fallen 2, and it's supposed to be coming to Steam this upcoming fall. And for those who don't know, the prequel came out back in 2023. Um, this is something I didn't have on my bingo card either. We're supposed to be getting a new Saw game. For those who don't know about like about the psychological, horror thriller like movie series. That's what this game is pretty much based off of. It's basically supposed to be coming out this upcoming fall, and the thing that I find most intriguing about it is that it's going to be developed by the same people who work on the Silent Hill 2 remake. So I honestly feel like that has the potential to be something really interesting, and it's something that can help elevate the horror genre of gaming to new heights. We got a new Virtua Fighter game that's supposed to be coming out next year called Virtua Fighter Crossroads. It's supposed to be a little bit grittier, and it's supposed to have a story mode that revolves around the Chinese mafia. And the thing is, Virtua Fighter's been around since like the mid 90s at least, and I don't think we've ever gotten a story mode like this, at least not to my knowledge. And I don't know. I think it's something that has a lot of potential, but I feel like, this is something that should have been done at least a decade ago. I don't even know if like Virtua Fighter is still a mainstream attraction or not. I'm not saying that's unpopular or anything, but they're a little late to the party in relation to story modes and stuff like that because, you have Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat. I feel like they've mastered that. They're more mainstream, and more people like are familiar with those than they are Virtua Fighter. But I don't know. This game has the potential to, I guess, put the spotlight on that particular gaming franchise once again. I'm not exactly sure whether or not it's going to lead to it becoming as popular as it once was back in the 90s, but we'll see what happens. We're supposed to be getting a Guilds War 3 game, and that's something that no one expected at all, myself included, because the last game I think came out back in like 2012, and it was probably one of the biggest reveals of the Summer Game Fest of this year, and It's going to be on the PC and PS5. I didn't see anything about it being on the Xbox Series X, and that's supposed to be coming out fall of next year. And then we're supposed to be getting a new Gundam game, Gundam Rogue Orbit. That's supposed to be coming out next year, and it's going to be on the PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And for those who don't know, Gundam has been very popular since like the 90s. So like even though like Gundam is pretty much known worldwide, I still feel like it's niche in this day and age because it's not as popular or as big as it was back in the day. But I still feel like it's an attraction. I feel like it's going to be a bigger attraction over in the East than it will be in the West. But it's cool that we're getting a brand new, like high profile Gundam game in 2027. And then we have a brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game called Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin. I feel like that's something that has the potential to be a big deal as well because the Ninja Turtles at this point, they're a huge part of pop culture, especially in Western civilization. So depending on the reception this game gets, I still feel like it's going to be popular, whether people like it or they hate it, or they think it's just a cheap money grab. Um, I don't know. It's still something that's going to get people talking once it comes out. I'm not exactly sure whether or not people are going to put it on the same level as Shredder's Revenge, but I still feel like it's a decent game that will get people talking. But I don't know. Like there was like a lot of games that was at that presentation. I said I wasn't going to cover all of them. I'm just covering the ones that kind of caught my eye. But but yeah, like 2027 looked like it's going to be one of the best games or one of the best like video game years that we've had since 2023 because 2023 was loaded with all kinds of high profile releases, and this year is pretty much the same thing. And on top of that, we have the Sonic 4 movie coming out. We got the Zelda movie coming out. It's just like I honestly feel like next year is going to be a big year for AAA video games, and some people might hate that because they probably checked out and have given up on like AAA video game developers and AAA video game series and all that stuff. And you look at the last like 2 years, I feel like indie games have pretty much dominated the scene for the most part to a point where people have just lost faith in a lot of developers. And I honestly feel like 2027 we could be seeing like somewhat of a revival in relation to AAA video games being popular, being mainstream, because we have so many big games coming out next year. It's hard to tell, what's going to be the best, video game of the year in relation to 2027. And the thing is, we're only halfway through 2026, and we have some cool releases um, for the rest of the year as well. But yeah, I honestly feel like this year's Summer Game Fest has been awesome, and honestly, it blows like the last 2 years of the Summer Game Fest that we got. I don't even like remember 2024 or 2025 as much, but yeah, like one of the biggest things that really shocked me was like Guild Wars 3 and Persona 6, I'm shocked that Persona 6 wasn't announced for next year, because a lot of people were expecting that that was going to be the case. Plus this year marks the 30-year anniversary of the Persona series because the original Persona game came out back in 96, I believe. So this is the 30-year anniversary of Persona and Tomb Raider. So it's cool that we're getting a Tomb Raider game, next year. But but yeah, I honestly feel like next year is going to be really really big. It's going to be historic, and it's going to be one of the best years in video game history that we've seen in a very long time.